It's always hard to follow Paddy because he covers every bloody thing. Thanks, mate. Looking at deaths in custody, some people seem to have a strange idea that deaths in custody began in 1980. It didn't. Deaths in custody began from the time of the invasion, 224 years ago. It was the troopers, as Paddy has explained, who cleared the land. They become the police, and the murders just continued. In 1987, there were 16 Aboriginal deaths in custody in 1 year. About every 6 weeks we would have a death in custody. In 1 week alone there were 3. This brought pressure onto the Keating government from such groups as the Committee to Defend Black Rights for a royal commission. Pressure was put on, as I said, and Hawke offered a parliamentary inquiry. Well, we're too cynical to not know that that would get us nowhere and do nothing. We argued for a royal commission and nothing less. And it was in 1987 that I attended the Sydney Town Hall meeting, where several death in custody families were on a national tour to highlight the horror and the numbers of deaths that were occurring at the hands of the prisons and the police. That's where I met Yabbu, Arthur Murray. That's where I first heard about the death of Eddie Murray. Eddie Murray was a young man up in Weewar, the family were at that time, and he'd been picked to come down and play for Redfern. The dream of any blackfellow was to play for Redfern. Eddie went out to celebrate, and it can be argued that he celebrated too much. But he was picked up by the police, he was whacked into a Weewar cell, and over a process of hours, he was then found hung in a Weewar cell. The coroner found that Eddie did not suicide. He was too drunk to have tied the intricate knots that were necessary to hang him. He's in a police cell by himself, a police cell in Weewar. But the justice that was prevalent then and still continues now is that Eddie died at the hand or hands of someone unknown. For 31 years, the Murray family have fought for justice. I was with them for about 20 years of that. The closest we got was an exhumation of Eddie's body to show that he'd been brutally bashed by the police prior to him being hung. The coffin was brought up. 2 forensic pathologists looked at the body, one for the family, one for the state, and the sternum was broken. Now, I'm sure with the modern age gadgets we have now, where they can tell mummified people what their last meal was, they could certainly work out whether the broken sternum was an old break or a fresh break. The coroner found it was a fresh break, could have been caused by the digging machine hitting the coffin lid and breaking the stone. The police got off again. That more or less put paid to Eddie's case. It would have taken a lot of energy, a lot of money and a lot of time to push that case forward. But I was talking with Anna, his sister, the other day at the Taser forum, and she is still devastated. All his sisters are still devastated. They want justice. 31 years they've been waiting. Letty Scott, the death of her husband in the Northern Territory jail, where he was assaulted badly by 4 prison officers, and then he was hung. The police were called. The police advised the screws to cut him down because he couldn't hang himself. Those knots he wouldn't know how to do. So they hung him again. The only man to have been hung twice, or suicided twice. The case of Letty Scott's husband at the time went on, I think it was something like 30 odd years, 31, 32 years. Letty's passed on now. Her struggle has caught up with her and she's unfortunately left us. One of the police officers has died, but 2 of the jail officers are now very high up in the Northern Territory Corrective Services, as are the police who kicked John Pack to death. You know, the whole things just continue and continue, and don't think that they're getting any easier or there's somehow the assaults are becoming more humane. Because we now have tasers and they can torture people. Before they just belt the crap out of them. And if they died, tough. If they didn't, well, maybe they'd learn a lesson. But with tasers, it's a dream run for the coppers. They can do anything. That's been shown by the 14-year-old kid. It's been shown by our friend over in Western Australia, Kevin Spratt, tasered 28 times. You know, how the man is alive, I don't know. Other people have died. Roberto Curti was just another example. So this is why ISJA and others are calling for the repeal of the tasers. The only way we as a society can stop deaths in custody, we need to not only charge coppers. Coppers have been charged for years. Hurley was a last example, but led off by a racist jury based in Townsville. We need, as I said to the Commissioner of Police back in the early 90s and to Ron Woodham, who was the Assistant Commissioner of Prisons, we need a head. Give us a head. You know your people are killing. Put one up on charge. Let us find him guilty. Then you will see that your deaths in custody will stop. The answer from both these men of power and influence, I don't want any trouble with the unions. Because we know the police unions and the prison unions, they run the services. It's not the other way round. We need to focus on 3 things, and this is what is just holding our forums for and all that. One is the withdrawal of tasers. Tasers kill, we know that. What annoys me more than anything else, and I've said this straight face to face with coppers, you're willing to gamble that you using the taser on me, I might die. They just laugh. But it is the truth. They are taking a gamble with your lives. And it's time you spoke up about it. It's time we all spoke up about it. We want tasers withdrawn. We want the brutality of the police that is shown to us every day. We want that brought under control. The police are our servants, not the other way round. And the last thing we want is for police to stop investigating themselves, because that only leads to further entrenched corruption, and we won't get anywhere while they're looking at themselves. Thank you.